Hello everyone, welcome back to your geography class. We were doing chapter number 1 of geography, that is resources. Before beginning the class, let's quickly revise what we have already done in this chapter. In the last class, we have learned the materials which help humans to satisfy their needs are called resources, which means everything that is required by us in our day to day lives is a resource. The water we drink, the food we eat, the technology we use, everything is a resource. Nature has provided us with many gifts of nature. Human beings have developed techniques to convert those gifts of nature into useful things. Like we have discussed it through the example of natural waterfall and how it has been converted into a resource by suitable technology. The energy of falling water is converted into hydroelectricity. Time and technology are the two most important factors that can change substances into resources. Resources are classified into three broad categories: natural resources, human made resources, and human resources. Resources that are obtained from nature are called natural resources. People use natural resources to make various things according to their needs, and these are known as human made resources. Last but not the least, people themselves are the most important resource, as human beings are having the ability to create more resources through their knowledge and skills. So, in the previous class, I have introduced all the three types of resources to you. In today's class, we will be reading these topics in detail. First, we are going to discuss about the types of natural resources, which are classified on four bases, that are on the basis of origin, on the basis of development, on the basis of renewability, and on the basis of distribution. Next, we will study in detail about human made resources, followed by human resources, and at the last, we will talk about conservation of resources. So, let's start with the first topic of today. Natural resources are the resources obtained from nature. We can classify them on various bases. On the basis of origin, the natural resources are of two types. The first one is biotic and the second one is abiotic. Let's try to distinguish between these two types. First is biotic resources. As the name suggests, these resources are obtained from biosphere and have life. I hope you all know what biosphere is, but still I will repeat for you. Biosphere is the part of Earth where atmosphere, hydrosphere, and lithosphere meet. Life is possible only in this domain of the Earth. These resources are also known as living resources, as they have life. So, these resources are basically living resources. Most of the biotic resources are renewable, as they have the capacity to reproduce under suitable environmental conditions. Some of the examples of biotic resources are plants, microorganisms, animals. We all know that reproduction is one of the important characteristics of living organisms. But it does not mean that we can excessively use these resources. Due to various human activities, some of the plants and animal species have become extinct. So, we must use these biotic resources wisely. Let's move further to the next type, that is abiotic resources. These resources are obtained from physical and non living environment. These are also known as non living resources. These resources can be exhausted by excessive use. Thus, they are non renewable. For example, land, soil, minerals, and water. Let's move on to the next classification. On the basis of development, the natural resources are classified into potential and developed resources. First, we will talk about potential resources. Before starting the topic, let's discuss the meaning of the word potential. You must have heard your teacher saying after the test that you can do better than this. You have more potential. So, the word potential means the capacity to do something. And the potential resources are those resources which are not being used at present, but they have the potential to be an actual resource in future. Now, we will discuss some features of potential resources. Those resources whose total available quantity is not known at present are called potential resources. These resources are still unexplored, and that is why we don't know their exact quantity. These resources are not being used at present but can be used in the future. Detailed surveys are required to know their quantity and quality. As technology improves, their use in future is possible. There are more potential resources in the developing and underdeveloped countries as they do not have suitable technology with them. For example, uranium found in Ladakh is an example of potential resources because this resource is not being used at present, but with the help of new technology this uranium can be used as a resource in future. We can take one more example. In Africa, there is a great potential for the generation of hydroelectricity, but they have not developed this resource due to lack of suitable technology. But on the other hand, in India, we have developed this technology and we are using hydroelectricity at a very large scale. So, this means that a resource can be a potential resource in one country and it can be a developed resource in another country. Let's discuss another type of resource, that is actual and developed resource. Actual and developed resources, as you can guess from the name, that these resources are fully developed and used by humans with the help of suitable technology. Some of the features of these resources are those resources whose total quantity is known at present are called developed resources. They are being used at the present time. Surveys had been already done to find out their total available quantity and quality. Suitable technology is available to use these resources. There are more developed resources in developed countries as they have the suitable technology. For example, the windmills in Tamil Nadu and Netherlands. A number of wind farms have been set up to produce electricity from fast moving wind. Let's move further to the next classification of natural resources. On the basis of renewability, the natural resources are of two types: renewable and non renewable. So, first we will talk about renewable resources. Renewable resources are those resources that can be replaced or renewed naturally over time. These resources are unlimited resources. Renewable resources can easily be renewed by nature, and thus they are also called inexhaustible resources. Their quantity is not affected by human beings as they are found in unlimited quantity. Few examples of renewable resources are air, water, wind, solar energy. They all are renewable resources. But unfortunately, human beings have polluted these renewable resources too. For example, water is one of the most important renewable resource. But due to human activities, it is getting polluted day by day. So there is a lack of shortage of fresh water. Though it is a renewable resource, but still we have lack of fresh water. So next move on to the next type, that is the non-renewable resources. Non-renewable resources are those resources that are available in fixed quantity. They are limited. These resources cannot be renewed or replaced in short duration. Therefore, they are called exhaustible resources because with the more usage of these resources, they can be exhausted in future. The rapid population growth creates pressure on these resources. For example, coal, natural gas, petroleum, minerals, fossil fuels, and many more. Now we can take one example that soil is also a non-renewable resource as the process of soil formation is very long, which cannot be completed within a human lifespan. And similarly, the formation of fossil fuels is a very slow process. The rapid use of fossil fuels can lead to their complete exhaustion in near future. So, we must use these non-renewable resources wisely because they can be exhausted in future. Let's move further to the last classification. As we all know that the resources are not evenly distributed throughout the world. For example, petroleum is mainly found in the Gulf countries. Similarly, China is one of the country that has most of the mineral resources. USA has the most gold in the world. But on the other hand, you will find some countries with less natural resources, such as Switzerland. This means that resources are not uniformly distributed over the earth. Thus, on the basis of distribution, the natural resources are classified into two types. The first one is ubiquitous resources, and the second one is localized resources. First, we will read about the ubiquitous resources. The word ubiquitous means everywhere or worldwide. Thus, these resources are found everywhere in the world. These resources are found in abundance. Some of the examples are sunlight, air, water. Next is localized resources. The word localized means something is restricted or limited to a particular place. Thus, these resources are found at certain places. They are available in limited quantity. For example, let's see some of the examples of localized resources. What is this little duck doing here? She's swimming in gold, which is an example of localized resource. What are they digging now? They are looking for silver, which is a localized resource. And we have one more example of localized resource, that is diamond. These all are localized resources that are found in particular places, and thus they are more valuable and rare.